Hello everybody, Robin here, and welcome back to Toadstool Tarot. I'm really excited to share with you this deck today that came in the mail. I hope I can do this justice. I don't mean to be presumptuous, but I'm so excited about this deck. I think it may be my favorite tarot deck ever. And I shouldn't really say that at first look, but I've got some pretty strong feelings about it. It comes in this very heavy-duty box, nicely designed. The lid doesn't come all the way down, so you can actually get hold of it to get the top off. There's a little info on the back, a couple of cards shown. It's written and illustrated by Elizabeth Heidel, H-A-I-D-L-E, designed by Giorgio. Is it Giorgio or Georgia? I need better glasses. Chiarion, C-H-I-A-R-I-O-N. I can't make out if that's a Georgia A or a Giorgio O. Maybe it'll say inside the box. It comes with this beautiful little book. It came wrapped in a violet paper band, which I took off. And we'll go into the book after the cards because I want you to see the cards first. There are some changes in the labeling designation of some of the cards. There's a little pink inset for the cards. Mine was torn in two places. This seems to happen quite often. I see in other walkthroughs when they have a paper or cardboard insert like that. It's a fairly thick deck. It's the cards are a little larger than the average tarot card, maybe an eighth of an inch taller and wider, so not by much. The back design, which is not a favorite of mine, but it's all right. It's not reversible. You've got a moon here or quarter moon here and three-quarter moon up there, looks like maybe, and a sun or a star in the middle. Pastel colors, black. These are borderless cards, and the numbering and labeling is unobtrusive, which I like. The cardstock is really thick and substantial. It's matte with a little bit of a sheen to it. And so let's just go through these. We have the Fool. I really like the color palette in this deck. The Magician. Oh, did I mention the title of this deck is Tarot for All Ages? And one of the things that I have issue with is I've heard reviewers say this would be good for younger children. And I think that diminishes the deck. It does say on the back for ages 8+, but I think actually there are a few images in here that I think children might have some trouble with, but it's very good for the child in all of us. Card number 2 is the Dreamer, which would be in other RWS themed decks, which would be the High Priestess. They've renamed some of these, and I'm curious as to what you think about the renaming. I don't usually like that, but I think it works here for the most part. Empress, number 3. Emperor, number 4. Nice pair together. Mentor, number 5, instead of the Hierophant. I think that works. 6 is Unity instead of Lovers. I think mostly that works. I have to think on it a little bit. Chariot. Strength. The Hermit. Wheel of Fortune. Justice. So this one might be a little bit difficult for a younger reader to follow. There's an Egyptian myth about judging people when they die by weighing their heart on a scale opposed to a feather. And don't know too much about it, but you can look into that. Number 12 is Surrender, which is the Hangman. And I had to think a little bit about calling that Surrender, but what do you think? 13, instead of Death, we have Rebirth, which I like a lot. I might say Transformation rather than Rebirth, but it works. 14, instead of Temperance, we have Balance. I think that works really well. 15, instead of the Devil, we have Greed. I would probably say Temptation rather than Greed, but I think it probably works. 16's the Tower. 17, Star. 18, the Moon. 19, Sun. 20, Idea instead of Judgment. I'm not sure about the word idea. Maybe clarity might be better, or I'm not sure. And 21, the World. I really like the color palette in this deck, and one of the reasons I got it was because I felt the need in my collection to have some bright, colorful, cheery, positive cards. And most decks have darker or mysterious images in them. And this one is all very kind of cheery, bright, optimistic images. In fact, there don't seem to really be any dark cards. Even the renaming of them seems brighter and cheerier. Now, in the minor suits, we don't have labeling on the numbered cards. So this is the Ace of Pentacles. They call them Pentacles. Not sure, strictly speaking, if it's a pentacle. I believe a pentacle has to have a star on it, and these don't. But they're not exactly coins either, so I don't know how you'd get around that. Discs, maybe, would be better. 2, 3. It's always very easy in these to tell what number they are, what suit they are, but you can also see the numbers on the cards. And because of these little discs, you know we're in Pentacles suit. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I love the whimsical quality of some of these cards, and I tell you, the interpretations are so clear to me. I think this would be a great starter deck to learning to read the RWS with only minor tweaking to go from here to a traditional RWS. Some of these meanings seem less quixotic, might not be pronouncing that word correctly, less puzzling than some of the images you might see initially in the RWS or other versions of the Rider-Waite system. 10. Now we go into the court cards, which have been renamed. I'll explain that when we look at the book. You have the Apprentice of Pentacles instead of the Page. The Steward of Pentacles instead of the Knight. And all the knights or stewards are not on horses, but they're all running upstairs, which I think is interesting, or climbing stairs. The Guardian of Pentacles replaces the Queen. And the Sage of Pentacles replaces the King. Now we have Wands, the Ace of Wands. 2, 3, 4, 5. I love how bold and sort of sparse these images are. You get beautiful bright color palette, a lot of flat color planes, but also shading, and not overwhelmed by a lot of obscure or puzzling extra symbols. Sort of almost the bare minimum of what you might need to read the card. 6. If you're familiar with the Rider-Waite system, some of these symbols will be familiar to you. Even though this may seem like a pippish rendering, it is very similar to the Six of Wands in the RWS. 7, 8, 9 of Wands, and 10. Then we have the Apprentice of Wands, Steward, Guardian, and Sage. Now the swords. You also get a wide range of skin tones and colorings in this deck, which is nice. And the genders are non-specific. 4, 5, 6. The artwork is both similar to perhaps children's book illustrations, but also surrealist art. Seven of Swords, 8, 9, and 10. Apprentice, Steward, Guardian, and Sage. I don't usually like it when they change the labeling on the courts or the majors, but I don't think I'm going to have trouble with this. I think it's actually pretty good. Now the cups, Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This reminds me a lot of a surrealist painting by Victor Bronner. 8, 9. And there are a few cards that have animals in them, and I don't care for animal decks, but I think they work in this deck with the pips. One might say this is a pip or pippish deck. It seems there are like supplemental illustrations, though, along with the pips that help, I think. Apprentice of Cups. Very fantasy kind of a deck. And there you have it. Those are the cards. Just beautiful. Now for this lovely little book. It's a substantial little bound book. It's no numbers on the pages, so I can't tell you how many pages it is. Also, did I say who published it? Goodness, the type is so small I have trouble reading it. LawrenceKing.com. Lawrence King Publishers. Not heard of them before. The book is in full color. For the majors, you have one per page. You've got the beautiful thumbnail of the card, the name, the number, some keywords, some descriptions, and interpretations. And then in the minors, you have 2 per page. You have before each suit a description of the suit. Again, you've got the number, key words, a description. Now, somewhere I had seen a numerological aspect. Oh, it's in the majors. At the bottom of, oh, you don't have it on the Fool because that's not a numbered card. Okay. Yeah, on the bottom of the majors, you get beyond the interpretation, a numerical reference to the card and what numerically that would mean or correspond to. So I think it's a really good kind of learner's deck. Now I wanted to point out a couple things here in the book. Well, just let me read quickly. I don't like it when people do this in their walkthroughs, but it's kind of important, and I think. If you're holding this book right now, then you must have a deep sense of curiosity. If you don't already think of yourself as an expert storyteller, you soon will. While tarot decks have historically been used for a variety of purposes, from card games and fortune telling, modern decks can be used for self-awareness and self-healing. As you explore the cards, they'll help you navigate your way through life's ups and downs. Although the cards in Tarot for All Ages are based on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, most widely used in recent history, they have been redesigned to reflect current times and better serve all age groups. The reimagined characters of the major arcana portray a wide variety of human identities and experiences. Cards that are sometimes thought of as negative or scary have been renamed to reflect their core meanings. The Hanged Man card has become surrender, while the Lover's card has shifted to unity. The King, Queen, Knight, and Page, with their assumed genders, have been updated to Sage, Guardian, Steward, and Apprentice. Whether you're just starting out or have some experience, this will teach itself to you. Over time, you'll add your own meanings to the images in this deck as you explore the unfolding story of your life. Resist the temptation to label certain cards as good or bad. Life is more complicated than that. Joys don't always leave us satisfied, while difficulties often help us develop courage or move to a healthier path. Tarot teaches us to embrace our hopes and fears with curiosity, discovering wisdom in the process. Let's see. The court cards. The Apprentice is a beginner, enthusiastic and curious. The Steward gathers momentum, energetic and determined. The Guardian finds balance, protecting the inner and outer worlds. The Sage brings insight, adding organization and stability to any situation. I thought there was another paragraph I wanted to point out, but I can't find the passage just now. I think I've covered it. That basically the cards have been relabeled, reconsidered to incorporate meanings that are easier for a wider audience, a variety of non-specific genders and a variety of race or skin tone colorings. I don't recall specifically about body types. I think there was a man of larger stature sort of later in the deck. But yeah, it's fairly accessible for everyone, I think. There's some spreads and activities. Let me jump to here. Okay. The High Priestess, dreamer, intuition, mystery, deeper understanding. Also called the silent knower. This figure is at home in the realm of dreams, wandering comfortably in the darkness, looking past the obvious. The dreamer gathers messages from hidden places. The dreamer reminds us that it takes true confidence to sit among the mysteries of life without demanding answers. Accepting this with patience will open you up to surprising sources of information. Trust your inner vision. The more you pay attention to it, the stronger your intuition will grow. Slow down. This type of knowing takes time. The numeral 2 refers to duality, balance, and partnerships. So that gives you an idea of how these readings are laid out, and that shows you their alternative to the High Priestess. And I think it works pretty well either way. I think you could read this and translate that to the High Priestess if you switched over to a Rider-Waite deck. You have Mentor, Unity. This one's a little different. Unity is about the magnetism of opposites and finding a common ground. Two souls intermingle in the radiant warmth of the sun as a winged serpent flies overhead. In ancient Egypt, the winged serpent symbolized the union of heaven and earth. This character can be viewed from two different angles, inner and outer. How might you bring together the different parts of yourself to create a story of acceptance and completion? Which relationships in your life offer the deepest sense of connection? Now is the time to acknowledge these gifts. Numeral 6 signifies problem-solving, communication, and peace. The key words: connection, harmony, collaboration, love. So, as an alternate to the Lovers, this is a little bit different, but some of the similar ideas. I've heard sometimes the Lovers described, probably more in the Tarot de Marseille, as an element of choice. But I think in terms of this, the harmony, collaboration, love, partnership aspect is here. I am so nuts about this deck, and I just got it. But I'm really looking forward to working with it and using it. It's not my typical card stock. The cards are a little stiffer, a little heavier. Might be a little bit more of a challenge to shuffle overhand. Actually, not bad at all. They're sort of matte, but not sticky. Yeah, I think this is going to work out really well. Anyway, like I said, I think this is a really, really, really good beginner deck if you want to start somewhere and don't want to start with the RWS, but you want the same ideas conveyed to you. It feels like the symbols in the images aren't as much of a mystery in this deck as they might be in the traditional Rider-Waite Smith deck. I think they'll be easier to interpret for beginners. This book seems really easy to read, really helpful to me. And please don't view it as a deck for babies or little kids. I think it really is profound in gosh, I'm not finding the right words for it, but it's just beautifully designed, beautiful color palette, amazing cards. I love that they're borderless and they really pop. The graphics on these, very strong graphic design. This one, it was interesting to me because we're used to seeing a reclining body with 10 swords stuck in its back. We don't get that here. We get sort of a precariousness of 10 swords balanced on a ship between, on rough seas. But we also have the sun here clearing the dark skies. So it could go either way with this. could go to a darker area, or it could go to celebration, new beginning, a new sunrise. It seems like a card with a lot of positive potential to it, and not typically like a death or dying type imagery. So I'm curious as to what you think of this. I'm really looking forward to using it, just because, like I said, I like the graphic representation. I love the color palette and the bright, cheery colors. Even when you have darker or murky or melancholy colors, you've got them offset by these beautiful bright colors. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. I couldn't be happier. So thanks for stopping by and looking at this. If you have this deck, I'm really curious about your insights. I've seen about 4 different walkthroughs. Before I purchase this, I always like to see all the cards before I place an order. And maybe this will add to the dialogue. So I'll see you all next time. Enjoy.